I'm 85 years old, and I still remember the sound of that knock on the door when I was 17. Some sounds never leave you. They don't fade with time the way faces do. That knock split my life cleanly in two. Everything before it and everything after. I was a boy who thought his biggest problems were exams and money and whether I'd ever get out of our small town. That morning, my whole family had been laughing over breakfast. By nightfall, they were gone. An accident, a word people use when they don't know what else to say. My parents, my younger sister, all of it erased in one afternoon. I didn't cry the way people expect you to, not at first. I felt hollow, like someone had scooped me out and forgotten to put anything back. Neighbors brought food. Relatives spoke softly. Everyone kept telling me how strong I was. I didn't feel strong. I felt abandoned by the world and embarrassed that it kept going anyway. At 17, you're not supposed to be alone, but I was. No house that felt like home anymore. No one to ask what I should do next. I slept on a friend's couch for a while, then a rented room that smelled like old paint and dust. At night, I stared at the ceiling and wondered how a person is supposed to keep breathing when the reason they were breathing is gone. What saved me wasn't courage, it was routine. I got up because the day was there whether I wanted it or not. I worked because I needed to eat. I kept moving because stopping felt worse. Grief doesn't arrive all at once. It leaks into you slowly, and sometimes the only way to survive is to stay just ahead of it. I took any job I could find, cleaning yards, carrying boxes, fixing things I barely knew how to fix. Working with my hands gave my mind somewhere else to go. When you're tightening a bolt or measuring a cut, you can't think about hospital rooms or empty chairs. That mattered more than I understood at the time. By 18, I realized something uncomfortable. No one was coming to rescue me. That wasn't a dramatic thought. It was quiet, almost dull, but once it settled in, it changed how I moved through the world. Every choice was mine now, every mistake too. I borrowed a little money and bought old tools from a man who was retiring. I didn't call it a business. I just told people I could help, fix a door, patch a roof, do the things other people didn't have time for. When someone handed me cash and said thank you, I felt something warm for the first time since the accident. Useful, needed. Work didn't heal me, but it gave me a place to stand. Days turned into months, months into years. I learned slowly, made plenty of errors, lost money, gained it back. I didn't have anyone cheering me on, but I also didn't have anyone to disappoint. That freedom came at a cost, but it was still freedom. There were nights I wanted to quit, nights when the loneliness crept in so deep it felt physical. I'd sit on the edge of the bed and picture my mother's face, trying to remember her voice. On those nights, I didn't think about success or the future. I just told myself I'd get through the next day. That was enough. In my 20s, the work became steadier. People started recommending me. Trust builds quietly, like dust settling. I hired my first employee and felt terrified the entire time. Responsibility is heavy when you've already lost everything once. You don't want to be the reason something else falls apart. I married later than most men I knew. I was afraid of loving anything that could be taken away. My wife understood that fear better than I ever explained it. She didn't push. She stayed. We built a family slowly, carefully, like people walking on thin ice. When my sons were born, I held them and felt something loosen inside me. Not the pain, that stayed, but the grip it had on my future weakened. I worked hard, maybe too hard, but I also came home. I sat on the floor. I listened. I learned how to be present in a way I never had as a young man. The business grew. Not fast, just steady, honest work, fair deals, long days. I taught my sons how to hold a wrench before they could properly write their names. Not because I wanted them trapped in my life, but because I wanted them to know where we came from. They saw the scars too, the quiet moments when I went distant, the way certain dates made me withdraw. I didn't hide my past from them. Loss doesn't shrink when you ignore it. It just waits. I wanted them to understand that surviving isn't about forgetting. It's about carrying what you've lost without letting it crush you. By the time I was in my 60s, my sons were doing more of the work than I was. They had new ideas, new energy, and I watched them argue over decisions, laugh in the same workshop where I once stood alone, and I felt something close to peace, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind that just sits with you. Now they run the business. I show up sometimes, drink coffee, offer advice they don't always take.